This is Miss Boo.
The radio worked the entire time. There were just no batteries in it. I didn't understand that until much later, but once I did, it became very hard to explain who or what I had been talking to down there. It probably makes more sense if I start earlier. When I was 8 years old, my brother Owen went missing. He was 13, and at that age, older siblings feel almost invincible, like they exist slightly ahead of you in life and somehow know how everything works. One day, he just didn't come home. They searched for days, then weeks, and eventually there was nothing left to search. I remember sitting in my room with a box of Legos, waiting for someone to knock on the door and tell me everything was going to be okay. That never happened. They never found him. Most people eventually stopped looking. I didn't. Not really. I started taking longer routes home from school, checking places I thought he might have gone, carrying around a crumpled map with little circles drawn over spots he liked. I was convinced people don't just disappear. There had to be a reason, something I could follow. But I ran out of places, and Owen was still gone. The last thing he ever said to me was, "Later, Gator. You don't really move on from something like that. You just learn how to carry it differently." I got into puzzles, not because I enjoyed them, but because I couldn't stand unanswered questions. Eventually, that turned into volunteering for search and rescue. If I couldn't find Owen, maybe I could at least find someone else. A couple of years ago, I joined a search that still doesn't make sense to me. We were looking for a 17-year-old who had gone missing while exploring an abandoned metro station. Parts of the power had been restored, just enough to keep the emergency lights running, and we were told to stick to lit areas and call in anything that wasn't mapped out. They handed us filtration masks instead of GPS, which felt like a strange trade, but we didn't question it. I was assigned to a maintenance corridor with 3 other people. The place looked unfinished, like construction had stopped mid-project. Rooms without purpose, tools left behind, markings on the walls with no context. We moved slowly, calling out as we went, staying in contact over the radio. At some point, we reached a long corridor that split in 3 directions, and we spread out while staying within earshot. At the end of mine, there was a door that didn't seem to belong there. It was heavy, almost black, out of place. I called it in as I forced it open. The room beyond was completely dark. The operator told me to stay within radio contact and leave the door open, and then added, almost casually, that someone was right behind me keeping watch. That was enough to make me step inside. The ceiling was low, the space too tight, and the corridor ahead stretched farther than it should have. I didn't like it. I had the sudden, very clear feeling that if I went too far in, I wouldn't come back out. So I turned around, and the door slammed shut behind me. At first, I tried to rationalize it. A hinge, pressure, something simple, but the door wouldn't move. I called it in, and the operator sounded almost bored as he told me to stay put and wait for someone to get me out. I waited longer than I should have. When my flashlight started to flicker, I told them I was about to lose it. That's when they said they couldn't find the door I'd described, that there was no door where I said it should be. I remember telling them that was impossible, and they suggested I might be in the wrong section. The solution they gave me was simple: keep my hand on the right wall and follow it until I reached another team. It didn't feel like a solution. It felt like guessing, but I didn't have a better option. When the light died completely, it was like being erased. No shadows, no depth, just nothing. I kept one hand on the wall and moved slowly, trying to stay grounded in something real. After a while, even the wall stopped feeling consistent. Smooth, then rough, then something else entirely, like my mind was trying to replace it with something familiar. I kept going until I reached a fork and called it in. The operator hesitated, said there shouldn't be a split there, then asked about the ceiling. When I told him it was low, his tone changed. He said things were about to get complicated. From that point on, nothing lined up. Corridors didn't lead where they were supposed to. Rooms didn't match anything. The more I moved, the less sense it made. Eventually, I found a narrow opening in the wall, barely large enough to crawl through. They told me to go inside, said it would lead somewhere else. It didn't go up, it went down, and once I committed, there was no going back. I crawled through until the tunnel opened and dropped me into another room. I was told to follow a simple path: forward, then left, then forward again, and that the operator would be waiting. Somewhere along that route, I reached out to steady myself and touched something that wasn't a wall. It felt like a face, eyes, nose, teeth. I pulled back immediately, checked again, nothing, just empty space. A few minutes later, I found a key on the ground, small, metal, with a sunflower etched into it. I didn't think much of it. I just put it in my pocket and kept moving. Eventually, I reached the end of a corridor, but there was no door. The operator insisted there had to be one. I checked everything, nothing. Frustrated, I hit the radio against my head, and something inside it clicked. I opened the back panel. There were no batteries. I checked again, nothing. That's when the voice came back. Not through the radio, inside my head. It spoke calmly, like it had been there the whole time, and told me there was another way out. I told myself it was stress, hallucination, anything but real, but it didn't argue. It just kept talking, and eventually I started listening, because it was the only thing that sounded certain. It guided me, left when I wanted to go straight, back when I wanted to run forward. The place kept shifting, corridors stretching, floors tilting, rooms appearing where there shouldn't have been any. But when I followed the voice, I stopped hitting dead ends. Eventually, I heard people, voices, movement, relief. I found a door with light underneath it, and people on the other side calling my name. The voice told me to use the key, and at the same time told me not to open the door. I hesitated, asked them to open it from their side. They didn't. They just kept talking, urging, waiting. Something about it felt wrong, and I stepped back. The light vanished. The voices stopped. The hallway went silent. The voice in my head told me to run. I did. Everything behind me started moving. The space twisted. The walls shifted under my hands. Something followed me in the dark, moving faster than it should have been able to. I didn't look back. I found another door, this one chained. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key into the lock, but it fit. The chain dropped. I pushed through and stumbled into light. Real light. I turned back just long enough to close the door, and for a moment, I saw something in the darkness that didn't fit any shape I could understand. Not a creature, not anything I could name, just wrong. Then the door shut. They found me not long after that. I had been missing for almost 3 days. They never found the door, or the corridor, or anything I described. They couldn't explain where I had been. The only thing they could confirm was what was on my clothes. Something chemically similar to diluted stomach acid. I still volunteer for search and rescue. I'm more careful now, but not enough to stop. And sometimes, late at night, I open the drawer in my bedside table, and I look at the key. Small, metal, with a sunflower etched into it. And every time I do, I think about that voice. Because I still don't know if it was trying to help me, or if it just wanted me to leave, before I understood what I had found.
I did not notice anything wrong with my job until I found a resignation letter addressed to me on my keyboard. I work on the 3rd floor of an office building from the late 70s, insurance company, 5 months in. Corner desk by the emergency exit. The overhead light flickers. The vent above me ticks like something cooling down that never actually does. Facilities looked at it twice and called it normal. Everything here gets called normal if you ask the right person. I got in at 8:15 this morning, same as always. The envelope was already there, white, no logo, my name in blue pen, first and last. No department, no sender. Inside was 1 page, typed. I'm going to say it as closely as I can. I've read it enough times now to know most of it by memory. The paper is still in my bag as I'm saying this. This is not a formal resignation letter, even though I am resigning today. This letter is for you. I have worked in this building for 4 years. In that time, I have watched 3 people sit at the desk you are sitting at now. I am on a different floor, but I pass your corner every morning, and I have learned to watch that desk, the way you watch something you cannot fix. The first person lasted 8 months, the second lasted 5, the third lasted 11 weeks. By the time you read this, I will be gone. I cleared my desk last night. I cannot walk past your corner again and say nothing. The light above your desk will flicker. You have already noticed it. Everyone does. You will start losing small pieces of time. Nothing dramatic. You will look at your computer and 20 minutes will have passed. You will assume you were focused. You were not focused. You were gone. The gap will feel like nothing because you will not remember it. This has probably already started. Check your sent emails. Look for gaps. You will find windows where nothing exists. No emails, no documents, no history. Your badge will show you never left your desk. Then the dreams start. Do not describe them to anyone. Not out loud, not in writing, not even to yourself if you can help it. The dreams are how it maps you. When you describe them, you give it something to follow. I do not know what it is. The building was constructed in 1978. Before that, there was a house on this lot. Records for it are gone. I do not think that was an accident. Your desk sits over the same corner as one room in that house. Whatever happened there did not stay there. It is not in the building. It is under it. In the ground, under the foundation, under your chair. It is below you right now. The first person left and does not remember working here. The second one started falling asleep at the desk every day and said he felt safer sleeping here than at home. They fired him. He sat in his car in the parking lot for 4 hours, staring at the building before he left. The third person is still here. 4th floor. You will know which one. She has not closed both eyes at the same time in 2 years. She says if you keep one eye open, you stay close enough to the surface that it cannot take you fully. I am not staying to find out if that is true. If you need to talk to someone, find her. She will not want to talk. She will anyway. I am sorry I did not say anything sooner. There was no signature. I read it 3 times at my desk. Then I did what it said. I checked my sent emails. There are gaps. 14 of them over 5 months, 10 to 25 minutes each. No emails, no drafts, no browser activity. My badge logs me at my desk the entire time. I never noticed a single one. At 9, I went to HR. They confirmed someone resigned this morning. No notice. Desk already cleared. Badge returned. Gone. I asked about turnover at my desk. The woman paused, then said, "Some desks just do not work for people," and looked at something on her screen that wasn't there a second before. At lunch, I went to the 4th floor. I didn't know what I was looking for until I saw her. You can tell from a distance. People leave space around her without realizing it. Not a lot, just enough. She looked exactly like the letter said. Not tired like someone who didn't sleep last night. Tired like something permanent. I told her where I sit. She asked how long. 5 months. She asked if the dream started. I said no. She nodded like she already knew when they would. How often do you lose time? I told her. She said when the dreams start, do not talk about them. Not to anyone. Not even in your own head if you can stop yourself. The more shape you give them, the easier it is for it to keep you there. I asked what it was. She said she doesn't know, only that it's under that corner, that it reaches through the desk, the chair, the floor, that it wants you asleep, that the dreams are not dreams, they are a place. And if you go too deep, you don't come back the same. I asked about the one eye thing. She almost smiled. It works. I don't know why, but it needs both eyes closed, full dark. If any part of you is still watching, it can't take you all the way. I asked if she was okay. She said, I'm still me. I'm back at my desk now. It's 4 p.m. The light has flickered 6 times since I sat down. I counted. I've been counting everything today. Minutes, flickers, the spaces between things. Part of me thinks this is someone projecting something onto a desk that just happens to be bad. Part of me thinks 14 missing blocks of time is a lot for coincidence. The letter is in my bag. I checked twice. I'm saying this so there's a record somewhere outside this building. The light just flickered again.
It says 4:37. The last time I looked, it was 4:12.
If this story gave you chills, don't forget to subscribe, because the next one might be even worse.